One day away until Tennessee football takes the field yet again. We've been talking all week long about how bad Kent State is, but how bad are the Golden Flames? The Golden Flashes. See, I even forgot their name. That and a whole lot more is coming up on your Friday Lockdown Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. It is your number one place for Tennessee football coverage each and every weekday morning. I'm your host, Eric Kane. Appreciate you guys making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. Shout out you everydayers for making this show what it is. Can't thank you enough. Big shout out to Gametime as well for being a part of the show. Download the Gametime app, create an account, put in the promo code Locked On College. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase. So, again, I've been just probably over too far when talking about Kent State and how bad this is going to be on Saturday. Expecting a blowout, expecting possible records. It's a bad football team against what I think is a really, really good football team. But what makes Kent State not a very good football team? Well, we're going to dive down into the nitty-gritty here on a Friday show before we get into Boogie Bentley, my conversation with the Talking VAWLS host. That's coming up in segments 2 and 3. All right, so again, first time meeting ever between the two programs. Kent State was 1-11 a season ago, and it scored 14.7 points per game offensively. Yikes. It allowed 35 points per game defensively. Yikes. Just not a very good football team. And currently it's ranked by ESPN's Football Power Index at number 134, which is the last team in FBS. This year, you had a guy that started the final game in 2023, and Kevin Gargman, I believe is how you say his name. He's been the starting quarterback so far, and in 2 games, he's thrown for 374 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's completing passes at a 54% clip, which is not fantastic. He did start the finale game last year for Kent State, and he threw for 245 yards, 2 touchdowns against NIU. But so far, not the best starts for the starting quarterback for the Golden Flashes in 2024. Kai Thomas is the leading rusher, and I don't believe he played football in 2023. I can't really find anything on him in 2023, but in 2022, he played for Kansas. In 2021, he played for Minnesota, so he's got some experience. He's got 79 yards on the year with 29 attempts, 2.7 yards per carry. Curtis Douglas is his backup. He's ran for 59 yards on 3.3 yards per pop, 18 carries, but no rushing touchdowns in 2 games for Kent State. No rushing touchdowns in 2 games for Kent State. Top 2 wide receivers do return. They've each scored 2 touchdowns. Luke Floria and Christian McCray. Not a whole lot to say there, but that is the most successful part of the offense is the passing game. They've each scored 2 touchdowns. The offensive line has already allowed 19 TFLs in 2 games. That is hard to do. In 2 games, 19 TFLs, 6 sacks. 20 points per game in 2 games again. Lost on the road to Pittsburgh to begin the season, 55-24. Lost at home a week ago by a touchdown to FCS St. Francis, 23-17. 20 points per game offensively, only 246 yards, 282 through the air, 199. Excuse me, that was defensively. 191 through the air, 54 yards rushing on average on the ground. It's converted on 5 of 30 third down opportunities, 16%. They've scored 1 touchdown and 5 red zone trips. So offensively, really bad. Defensively, again, 39 points per game is what it's given up. 481 yards of total defense, which is almost at the half-century mark. 282 through the air, 199 on the ground, so it's given up about 200 yards rushing on the ground per game. It's allowed 6 touchdowns on 8 red zone trips, so that's not fantastic. Let's see here. Defensively, not a whole lot to highlight here. And they got a couple of linebackers that return that are kind of leading the way. Defensively, got Cameron Olds, who's kind of leading the way with 3 sacks. So he's somebody to maybe watch out for. But overall, this is not a very good football team. And again, just lost to FCS St. Francis. Hasn't beaten an FBS opponent, okay, since 2022. it's a bad football team. And we're talking about that scoring record at Neyland Stadium. When we're talking about how many points and how bad could this potentially be, well, it almost scored 70 a couple weeks ago in UTC, and UTC, I believe, is going to be a really good FCS opponent. I think UTC beats this Kent State team by 2 touchdowns. I do. Again, you got to go out and play the football game, and I'm intrigued, and we talked about it yesterday on players that you want to see succeed, and you know, if you were the coach, how would you go about your strategy for starters and all that? I want to go see them play, don't get me wrong. I want to take care of all the starters ahead of a huge game in Norman, Oklahoma the week after next. Or the week next week, I guess, you know, a week from Saturday. So got to get through this one first, but what an opportunity for a lot of those younger guys, and I think Tennessee is going to score more than 70, and I do think that this touchdownless streak to begin the season is going to continue. So, yeah, I mean, Jason Swain, Boogie will mention this here in a moment, and I noticed it as well. I think it was on Sunday or Monday. VFL Jason Swain, Josh Ward's co-host over at the Sports Animal, he had a tweet earlier this week that said, fans, you don't have to, you know, overlook this. You can afford to overlook this team. Coaches and players cannot. So, again, never want to disrespect the opponent, but we're allowed to, right? Okay? If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, you're a fan. You can do whatever the heck you want to do. I can do whatever the heck I want to do. If I'm a player or a coach in that locker room, can't do that. Can't do that. But we can. So, don't feel so guilty. It's like, I got to get through Kent State first. I think Tennessee's going to be okay with that 49.5 point favorite at that line and 62.5 total. So anyway, I've exhausted all what I can say on Kent State. I mean, there's just not a whole lot there. Let's see what Tennessee looks like on Saturday, 7:45 Eastern time. And of course, we will have a postcast show early on a Sunday morning. I appreciate you guys as always for making Locked On Vols your first listen each and every single morning. When we return, we'll have our first part of our conversation with Boogie Bentley right here on Locked On Vols. Passion, drive, patience, the formula for winning championships is what also keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money's back. Because of eBay Motors, we're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive today at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn Jobs isn't like any other job board. All right, LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open for the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking and posting on LinkedIn, you're looking and posting in the wrong spot. 86% of small businesses can find qualified candidates within 24 hours. Hire a professional like a professional on LinkedIn. In fact, 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring, so you should too. Post your job for free over at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Boogie, what a performance there from Tennessee's defense a week ago. And we're going to talk a lot about last week and a lot about next week because tomorrow is going to be, 77-0 or something against Kent State. But man, we both thought Tennessee would win. We both thought Tennessee would win pretty convincingly. I didn't see that coming.
I like kind of seeing the narrative coming out of that win over NC State, right? If I told you going into the game, Nico's going to throw 2 picks, your wide receivers are going to combine for 7 receptions, you're thinking either that's somehow they survived or they lost this football game, but instead it's a 51-10 total domination of a top 25 opponent. Last week, everybody's talking Nico this, Nico that. This week, everybody's talking about this Tennessee defense. I keep saying it. There's no team in college football that wants to see Tennessee across from them in the college football playoff. Because if they show up and they play defense the way that they can play defense, and they score a few points too, that's the funny. Tennessee scoring 60 points a game, and everybody's talking about this Tennessee defense. Nobody is going to want to see them in that college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean, I continue to say earlier in the week, it's like you won by 41 points and your offense had an all right day. It was okay. I mean, run game was great. I mean, Tennessee ran for 250. Dylan Sampson, that offensive line, Deshaun Bishop, Nico. I mean, hats off to the run game. And when you drop 8, and I mean, it's like, okay, well, we're going to run for 250 on you. And that's exactly what Tennessee did. So I thought the run game was fine. I thought Nico made some plays, but I do think that Nico had 2 turnovers, obviously, in the passing game overall. And it was a weird game for the forward pass for Tennessee because you ran the majority of your plays when it was still a ball game in 12 personnel. And a lot of those times in 12 personnel, you were having 7 to 8 man protections, which means you only have two routes being run. On that first interception, Nico forced it in. There were 2 routes being run on that play, right? And so it's kind of weird, and that's not something we've seen from Tennessee in the last 3.5 years. But anyway, I think Nico was fine. He was far from bad, but if that's – he's going to have much, much, much better days. And, again, that should be a scary thought for everybody else playing Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, what, 2 throws? Well, I say 2 throws. He wants 2 throws back. But then you look at – the throw to Dante Thornton in the end zone, just off the fingertips. The throw early to Brew McCoy. I'm still sitting here almost a week later. That was pass interference. That's why that ball was overthrown. But you take away those 2 picks, Nico had a pretty effective game against, like you said, an NC State team that was dropping everybody. What I like about the 12 personnel is Tennessee can score so many different ways, right? And we're sitting here a week out from that NC State game, and we're saying Tennessee's offense just, man, it didn't really click, didn't really feel that. You ran the ball for 250 yards. You will take that all day, every day. You scored 51 points, and we're still sitting here going, man, it just didn't feel the same. Yeah, maybe because Nico wasn't playing backyard football and throwing the deep shot, but they can beat you so many different ways on offense. The 12 personnel, you run the ball, then you sneak Miles Kitselman out. You hit that play action. You can still hit your deep shots. We've seen that. Nico on the quarterback draw, how electric did he look? They can beat you so many ways on offense. I like it. I like that 12 personnel. And hearing Josh Heupel talk about it, right? We've not really had the depth to do that. Now we do. He didn't talk about the restrictions and all this stuff when it was happening, but now that it's kind of in the rearview mirror, he brings it up a lot. And he's like, this is why you're seeing what you see now. I like it. Put a little something extra on tape, and let's keep going, man.
Just another way to operate and another way to find ways that you can go and be, disruptive for opposing defenses and be productive. And I don't think this will be Tennessee's home base defense. Or offense. I don't think this is what Tennessee's going to run the majority of their plays, but it's something else that you can throw in there to give Alabama another look. When Georgia is really getting after the quarterback and trying to bring down Nico, you can put in that 12 personnel and have an 8-man protection and see what happens. So I like seeing that, and that's something that, numbers-wise, they just couldn't do before this year. Dylan Sampson's having a really good year so far, leading the SEC in rushing, all-purpose yards, touchdowns. Is Dylan Sampson being overshadowed with all the Nico talk?
Yeah, I kind of talked about it earlier this week. I'm like, we're selling Nico for a Heisman. Can we talk about Dylan Sampson for a Heisman? And somebody asked me, and you love these type of questions, who's better, Boogie, Jalen Wright or Dylan Sampson? I'm like, I don't know, man. They're 2 different running backs. They're both electric. But Dylan Sampson, what I like is what he can do out of the backfield in the passing game, right? Use his hands, make guys miss. I love his patience. I love him in pass protection. But yeah, I think he's going to have a big year. I think, how many series is he actually going to get? And, do you see Cam Seldon coming back from the injury? Give me a whole lot of Deshaun Bishop. Give me a whole lot of Khalifa Keith. But I think Dylan Sampson's got it in him for a 1,200-yard season. I think he's going to get more carries than Jalen Wright did last year. So I think he has an opportunity statistically to have a bigger year. But, man, he is just electric. Again, even live during the game, you're on Twitter, you would think Tennessee's getting destroyed, but yet they're running the football for 250 yards. Something, shout out Coach Jay. I know he always listens to Locked On Vols. Something he said after the Chattanooga game, Josh Heupel doesn't care about fan service. This ain't EA Sports College Football 25. I'm not trying to give certain stats to certain guys. I'm just trying to win the ball game and move on to the next week. But Dylan Sampson, he's got an opportunity to put some stats out there too.
Yeah, you're right. I think Dylan Sampson's going to get a lot more carries than what Jalen Wright did a season ago, than what Jabari got a season ago, because I do think that, yeah, sure, Deshaun will take some snaps or Bishop will take some, whoever's in that RB2 role, whenever Bishop's healthy. But I think it's RB1, and I think they're going to get a lot more carries than what RB2 is going to get. And so because of that, I do think that there's an opportunity for those stats to be even more than what the potential was last year for a guy like Jay Wright. And those stats were pretty good. Jalen Wright had the explosive plays, right? I mean, he only scored 4 times, but all 4 of his touchdowns were from 50 yards or more, right? 52 yards against Kentucky, 72 yards against UConn. Georgia was whatever it was. I mean, it was long as well. So, I mean, that was what made Jalen Wright so unique. And I think there's a lot there for Dylan Sampson too. Continue to look at this offense. Offensive line. Did you think that Nico was under a little bit too much pressure week 2?
Yeah, at times he was. Obviously, the pressure is what led to that second interception, right? And I know, Josh Heupel's talked about it. Nico's talked about it. You got to learn to eat that. But it's still, you look and you're like, well, he's getting blown up. That's why. And Nico's trying to make a play. He has the guy open down the field. Yeah, probably under a little bit too much pressure, but also that pressure showed you what Nico can do with his feet. I know we talked about the play to Kitzelman that got called back for the phantom Dane Davis downfield, absolutely ridiculous call. But seeing what Nico can do, man, just escape the pocket, turn his shoulders back, hit the throw opposite side of the field. I said this Monday when you were on my show. He reminds me of Hendon. He's got that elusiveness. So, while the offensive line may not have been as efficient in pass protection, I think Nico gives you that. He's got that ace up his sleeve where he's able to escape pressure, make plays. And sometimes I think Nico almost looks better when it is backyard football, when he's just out there running around making plays, looking down the field, keeping the eyes down the field. That's something I love about him.
Fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to a menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meal are dietitian approved, and you can eat within 2 minutes, so no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great-tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine, a new healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? 35 different meals with more than 60 add-ons to choose from. You can crush those wellness, those diet goals with Factor. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled. Easy, nutritious options, okay? Keep the kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals, again, ready within 2 minutes. No shopping, no prepping, no cooking, no cleaning up. Enjoy effortless supply of your new lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Head on over to factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50. Use the promo code LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. What a deal. That's LockedOnCollege50 at factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. All that and more is over at Factor Meals. And couldn't finish off this work week without telling you about our friends over at Homefield Apparel. That is the exclusive apparel sponsor of Locked On Vols. Football season is nearly here, and it's actually here, not nearly here. It is here. We're heading into week 3, and you can smell that fall air kind of turning, right? And if you're heading out to Neyland Stadium this weekend or this fall, you need to be decked out in style, and you need to get that from Homefield Apparel. With the Can't Miss Kickoff 2024 campaign, you can get football boxes, coaches jackets, bomber jackets, and more. These football boxes contains 3 never-before-seen items for the University of Tennessee that are not available anywhere else. Curated so fans have new gear to wear all season long, suitable for all weather conditions. Platinum VIP boxes receive additional exclusive items such as a new hat or ringer, a VIP koozie. The 2024 Platinum Pass guarantees 20% off early access to Tennessee football releases throughout the 2024 season. No more missing out on home field because things are sold out. So what is Homefield? Well, it is a collegiate apparel brand based in Indianapolis with their focus on creating incredibly comfortable, officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs. These vintage designs for the University of Tennessee, chef's kiss. They look really, really good. There's a wide range available, plus 180 colleges to choose from. But for the best Tennessee gear, go see it over at homefield.com. Or homefieldapparel.com. Go to homefieldapparel.com today to get started. Again, homefieldapparel.com to get started. Boogie, tomorrow could get ugly for the Kent State Golden Flashes. Louisiana Monroe got 70 put up on them back in 2000 by this Tennessee team, and by a Tennessee team. That was the program record at Neyland Stadium for the modern era of points scored. Do you think Tennessee scores more than 70 and sets that program record tomorrow?
I didn't know that. 2 nights ago, we're recording this on a Thursday. So last night we were recording our live stream. I went 73-0. This morning, sitting here waiting on you to get on here and do a little Locked On Vols. I was listening to you guys on VolQuest drop that number of 70. So yeah, I think Tennessee is going to break that number. Kent State is absolutely terrible. We can overlook them. We can start talking about Oklahoma. I love the tweet from Jason Swain this week. Guys, fans, you can overlook this game. You can overlook Kent State. It's okay. It does not have any impact on this football game. I think veteran leadership on this team, Josh Heupel, they're going to have this football team ready to go. Man, they're scoring 73. And I'm going shutout, 73-0. Kent State. Do they even get across midfield? Coach Rice, co-host on our show, that was his bold take, was Kent State doesn't even cross midfield. They're terrible, Kaner. They're terrible. I know you've done all your homework and your research, and you got all these numbers. They're an awful football team. They lost to St. Francis, and if you know where St. Francis is at, put it in the comments, because I don't even know what Kent State's mascot is till you just said it, and I already forgot it.
Well, I've been trying to say Golden Flames all week, but it's the Golden Flashes, and I believe it used to be Brent Hubbs has been telling me all week long that it used to be the Silver Foxes, and he's like, is that right? I'm like, I have no clue. I mean, Golden Flames, Silver Foxes, regardless, they're going to get pounced when they come into Neyland Stadium. Man, the Football Power Index, I'm not a huge pocket protector, numbers and sports guy, but I do like to dive into that sometimes, and I just continue to go back there. I've gone back there like 3 or 4 times this week. I'm like, okay, so how bad is this Kent State team? 134 in the country.
I love it. You know me. I'm looking for that Grant Ramey special on Monday morning. Give me the FPI. Let me see where Tennessee's at. Number 5. Let's get nerdy. Let's do pocket protector numbers, because I love it. Before this season, Tennessee 36.9% chance of making the college football playoff.
60 now.
Now it's 65.3%. But the one that I've had my eyeballs on is this Oklahoma game, right? Because we talk season predictions, and I feel like everything hinged on that Oklahoma game. And Tennessee's been the underdog, right? They've been the underdog on the FPI. They've been the underdog in Vegas. Now all that is shifted. Now they're saying Tennessee's 66% chance of winning that game. They're 2.5-point favorites to win that game. That could shift even more, because Oklahoma's got a sneaky good opponent in Tulane coming up this week. Led Kansas State at the half. I think we're going to find out more about Oklahoma. They're beat up. They're banged up. I like the Vols in that Oklahoma game now.
Yeah, I mean, so do I. And they were, before the NC State game, but before, Oklahoma played Houston, Tennessee was 2.5-point underdog. Okay, that according to most of the books, I think the Action Network and I think FanDuel as well, that's flipped to 2.5. 2.5, Tennessee's a favorite now. And so you've seen a 4-point swing already. And then, as you mentioned, depending on what Oklahoma looks like against Tulane, maybe it can shift some more, which I thought for sure Oklahoma would be favored, because they give the home team 3 points essentially. So it's looking like Tennessee's almost a touchdown point favorite if you kind of put that qualifier into the mix right there. And that's pretty shocking, at least from what I thought it would be heading into this game. Heading into the Kent State game, if you're Josh Heupel, how are you managing snaps? I mean, that's $1 million question, right? Like, I would love to see Nico get some work. I would love to see these guys get some work. I'd love to see everybody stay sharp and ready to roll, but I mean, football is a contact sport. Anything can happen, and I would, more than anything, would like to see some of these young guys get like 3/4 of work. How would you manage your starters in this football game, specifically Nico and Dylan Sampson?
Dylan Sampson, man, I would give him 2-3 series and not worry about it. I want to get Cam Seldon some work. I know you guys talked about it all week at VolQuest, that he got his bell rung, and that's why he missed the NC State game. But he's a guy that's been limited, right, because of the injury. It's like it's always something with Cam Seldon. I want to get him some work. I want to get him some contact, and just go with your young guys, man. Deshaun Bishop, Khalifa Keith, get Peyton Lewis some work. One thing that you guys talked about that is huge for me, huge. I don't want Nico on the field unless the ones are out there. And you all talked about it. Everybody saw it. Everybody gasped when it happened. Larry Johnson gets blown up. Nico takes a low shot. We're one play away from Gaston Moore is going to lead this football team. All of a sudden, the percentages and the odds and the pocket protector numbers, I'm going to just keep rolling with that. All those numbers drastically change if we lose Nico, right? You got to protect him. You got to take care of him. And what team in the country wouldn't be in trouble, right? If their 5-star number 1 overall player in his class gets hurt, of course you're going to be in trouble. So as far as that goes, for me, Nico's not on the field unless the ones are on the line of scrimmage. Period. End of story. Now, wide receivers, running backs, give me all the young guys, man. Can we see some Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley make some plays on Saturday? I hope so, because those are guys, especially Mike Matthews, a guy we talked a lot about all fall camp. Now I want to see it on the field, and I get it. He was banged up. I want to see him make some plays defensively. I don't care. Just play everybody the whole game. I just rotate everybody, get all those young guys some reps. I want to continue to see Jacoby Thomas. Shout out Will Brooks for that pick 6. We love you, brother. But I want to see Jacoby Thomas because I think when you see him on the field, there's a different level of speed, athleticism, physicality. I love Will Brooks. Everybody give me a hard time for that pick 6. You don't
Sounds
think
like you hate Will Brooks
I was fist pumping? You don't think I was fist pumping while he's running down the field?
No, I think you saw that and you're like, darn it. Why did you do that?
I retweeted everybody. Everybody that harassed me on Twitter got a retweet over that. But here's the bottom line. Joshua Josephs forced that pick 6. Keenan Peely had the block for that pick 6. Will Brooks happened to be right place, right time. I like Jacoby Thomas. I said what I said.
So now you're taking away the dude's best play. All right. It's like, well, if it wasn't for this guy, I mean, Will Brooks is fortunate just to be there, right? And make the play. No, I'm just
you're right. Me up. You're setting me up to meet Will Brooks' parents at the next Orange and White game.
Listen, Willie B made a heck of a play. All right. Joshua Josephs had the rush. Keenan Peely had a block. And potentially, if you don't make that block, he catches Willie B. I mean, who knows? Who's to know? That's a team. That is a team play right there, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think Tennessee needs to play 30 players again in the first quarter, like it did against UTC. Defensively, just rotate them in the entire time, right? Offensively, what I would do is like when the ones play, I mean, I'd rotate in Dane Davis because he's pretty much
sure.
I mean, he's a starter B at both tackles. I'll rotate in Jackson Lampley, a little bit of guard. Those two guys can rotate in with the ones. Nobody else. And I'm with you, man. I mean, Nico is not going to play in this football game without those guys in going up against Kent State. I would heavily rotate the running backs from the get-go. I mean, obviously Dylan Sampson's going to go, but I'd rotate those. I want to see Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley get in with the ones a little bit, right? They'll play a ton with Gaston Moore in the twos, but I want to see those guys get in with the ones a little bit. And then I want to see the Bennett, in the second half, I want to see the Bennett Warrens. I want to see the Jesse Perrys. I want to see the guys who are going to redshirt this year, so they didn't play in the NC State game. I want to see those guys get back out there. And of course, it looks like William Satterwhite's your backup center. That looks like that's signed, sealed, delivered. The decision's been made. If something were to happen, it looks like William Satterwhite's kind of taking that and run with it. And that's something Addison Nichols could never do a season ago. And I'm glad he's playing at Arkansas. Good for him. I had a good relationship. I covered his recruitment. Didn't work out here, but he never could just take off and run with that, and it looks like William Satterwhite's done it. So I think it's going to be a whole lot to a little bit. We're moving the goalpost a lot this week when talking about Kent State. I do think Tennessee will score more than 70. I do think Tennessee will continue the touchdownless streak to begin this season. I don't know if it's going to be a shutout, though. I bet a couple of field goals. I'll give it like 77-6. What's your final score prediction?
73-0. And you know why I'm going with that 0? Guys like Idris Farouk. When they get an opportunity to come in, when the game is over, they're laying the lumber like this is the freaking national championship game. Guys like Jordan Ross, who when they get an opportunity late in the game, when the game's over against the Chattanooga, we're still going 100%. We're still trying to make plays. We're going to block a punt up 49-0 because we don't care, because this is our opportunity to go shine. Guys like Jalen Smith, who when they get in the game, they play like the freaking national championship is on the line. You talk about culture and selling what Josh Heupel is building in Knoxville. That goes all the way down, man. It goes all the way down to the true freshman. And when I get my time, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to make plays. I'm not going to be out here going, oh, the game's over. I can't wait to get out of here. Man, everybody else is going to be asleep, but that third-string defense, they're going to be out there rocking and rolling. It's a goose egg on Saturday night.
Boogie, we got one here on Saturday. Hopefully Tennessee gets in, gets out, gets some good work in, avoids some injuries. That would be great. I know football's a contact sport. A big one coming up next week. Big one coming up next week, man. Really looking forward to talking with you next week and kind of breaking down where Tennessee is heading into this game, kind of getting the national perspective. What are the talking heads saying? What are the comments about Heupel going home? All that. I'm getting juiced up, amped up, just thinking about Tennessee at Oklahoma. Should be a good one, and we'll talk with you next Friday about that. But what do you guys got coming up this weekend? Of course, you got a pregame show and you'll do a post-game show too. Or are you going to do a post-game show? It's going to be a late one.
I am having this debate, and I still haven't decided yet. We've talked about.
Did you have one last week?
Yeah, we do it. We do a post-game show every week.
Okay.
But man, it's Kent State. It's a 7:45 kickoff. It's going to be 117-0 in the second quarter. Everybody's going to go to bed. Everybody's going to go to sleep. Do you think they want to come hear us ramble at 2:00 in the morning about a win over Kent State? Probably not. We're thinking about doing a watch party. That's where we just sit down, watch the game, hang out with you guys. And I get it. We talk about everything from our favorite hamburger toppings to God knows what, Batman, who knows? We talk about everything, but we watch the game, we hang out. That's what I'm thinking about doing. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. As of now, this video's up on Locked On Vols. That means me and Coach Jay about to go live on the Talking VAWLS Network 10 a.m. And then we'll also do a tailgate show an hour before kickoff. The coaches, I tried to give them Saturday morning off. I told them, I said, guys, it's Kent State. They said, no. Let's get the clicker out. We're going to watch film on Kent State, and we're going to break down the keys to the game, what Kent State does offensively, defensively. That's going to be dropping on the channel Saturday morning, bright and early. So go check it out, Talking VAWLS Network on YouTube. We're on that path to 30,000 subscribers.
As the official consultant for the Talking VAWLS Network, I would advise no postgame show.
I'm really leaning towards it. I think it would be fun, too.
Very much a watch party or a pregame tailgate and a kickoff is what I would advise. Because, yeah, I mean, that, as you very well know, yeah, ain't nobody going to stay up. If they tune in, they're going to tune in for like 2 minutes, and they're going to go to sleep.
We did big numbers last week for NC
Well, it's a big
State,
game.
but that's different,
game.
right? That's
Yeah.
a top 25 opponent. So
Yeah.
Kent State, 7:45 kick, not so much. We'll see.
Yeah, well, you get to check out Boogie and his gang a couple times a week. They go Monday morning. I'm on there with Boogie. They go Tuesday nights, play video games. They got the Wednesday night show, and of course, the Friday morning show, and then the watch party this week. So all that and more over on the Talking VAWLS Network. Boogie, as always, man, appreciate you. We'll talk Monday morning, all right?
I can't wait to actually talk about Oklahoma. I'm sick of Kent State week. Let's get ready for Oklahoma.
Great conversation from Boogie Bentley of the Talking VAWLS Network. Always appreciate him for stopping by the show every Friday during football seasons for segments 2 and 3. All right, it's Tennessee. It is Kent State. Let's see what Tennessee's all about here tomorrow, and let's see what this team looks like. Some momentum coming out of this weekend on into next weekend against the Oklahoma Sooners on the road. What a massive football game. But first things first, tomorrow night, 7:45 against the Golden Flashes. I'm Eric Kane here at Locked On Vols. Can't thank you enough for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch. Check out Locked On SEC, Locked On College Football. Make that your second and your third listener watch here this morning. And we'll see you late Saturday night or early Sunday morning for a little postcast of Locked On Vols. Until then, enjoy the weekend. If you're going to the game, stay safe, enjoy it. This is Locked On Vols.